Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the Mainland Touch. I'm Liz Grant.
And I'm John Dunn, and we do hope that you had a thoroughly splendid Christmas.
Tonight we thought we'd prove to you that there's more to Canterbury than the Ranfurly Shield, so we've opted for a large measure of the performing arts.
With respect, Liz, and if I may, I think it only fair to point out that one of the great performing arts this year was the Canterbury rugby team. Now, argue that over my dead body.
From the top again, please. That's it.
Look, I warned you.
Oh, something I said, was it?
Yes, him up there, sick of your parochialism.
I had no idea Bruce Crossan had that sort of power.
And for you peasants out there who missed the joke, Mr. Crossan is TVNZ controller of news. Mr. Dunn's remark will be borne in mind when his contract comes up for renewal.
Well, as I was saying, the arts. The Christchurch Festival was a highlight of our year. Even Shakespeare took to the streets.
Easy, friend. And my music. Dost thou live by thy table?
No, sir, I live by the church.
Art thou a churchman?
No such matter, sir, I do live by the church, for I live at my house, and my house doth stand by the church.
So thou mayest say that the king lies by a beggar, if a beggar dwell near him. For thy church stands by thy tabor, if thy tabor stands by thy church.
You have said, sir, to see this age, a sentence is but a cheverel glove to a good wit. How quickly the wrong side may be turned outward.
Nay, that's certain. They that dally nicely with words may quickly make 'em wanton.
I would therefore my sister had had no name, sir.
Why, man?
Why, sir, her name's a word, and to dally with that word might make my sister wanton. But indeed, sir, words are very rascals.
Thy reason, man?
Well, trow, sir, I can yield you none without words, and words are grown so false, I'm loath to prove reason with them.
Ah.
One, two.
I saw the light on the night that I passed by her window.
I saw the flickering shadows of love on her brow.
She was my woman. As she deceived me, I watched and went out of my I could see that girl was no good for me, but I was lost like a slave that no man could free. Delilah. At break of day when that man drove away, I was waiting.
I crossed the street to her house and she opened the door.
She stood there laughing. I felt the knife in my hand and she laughed. So before they come to break down the door, forgive me, Delilah, I just couldn't take any more. Delilah. Forgive me, Delilah, I just couldn't take any. anymore.
Oh, cheer up. Rugby's not everything. Just concentrate on wiping it from your mind and think art.
Oh, to go to the theatre. I'm going with Mrs. Selby Jones.
Darling!
Oh, to go to the theatre. We talked about over tea and scones.
Darling!
We're taking the Mercedes because we're playing perfect ladies. And besides, our heads would crumple in the bus. So it's new fur hat and stole to protect us from the cold. Maybe I'll buy a handbag and gloves. Oh, to go to the theatre. The doctor said he'd meet us there at 8. Darling! Oh, to go to the theatre. The doctor's wife said she could hardly wait.
Darling!
The play is by Moliere, and it's some play I can't bear. But drinking scotches at half-time should be fun. And the after-first night party should be rather arty-farty. I can read my poems to someone. Go for it, darling. Hello, darling.
Is about when I was little, and I was born in a test tube, which made life incredibly difficult for me because I could never quite work out how one was supposed to cope with the whole existential crisis of being born in a test tube. I mean, how do you feel when your mother is made of glass? How do you feel? What do you say? What can you do?
Lovely. Oh,
To go to the theatre.
I'm going with Mrs. Selby Jones. Darling. Oh, to go to the theatre. We talked about it over tea and scones. Darling.
Whoa! Wonderful! Isn't he lovely? Wonderful! Do something, Jonathan. Oh, superb! It's fine! Oh, do shut up, darling.
That's not a bit like those lads down at Lancaster Park.
That's true. What's with this lot, then?
Well, I thought that if rugby was no-no, something with a little more, dash. Skiing. Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Actually, I was impressed by that couple that formed the non-ski club.
I think it's the image, really, and the fact that it's highly fashionable and very expensive, and it's something that tends to take people over so that all they can think about is skiing. It almost becomes a preoccupation with a lot of people.
But isn't that true of any sport?
Oh, it is, but particularly skiing, I think, especially in Canterbury, when we're amidst so many fine ski fields, and people just can't resist getting up early and going away for the whole day, coming home exhausted and going home early from parties just to do the whole thing again the next day.
Most people I work with ski, and they can't understand why you don't want to ski. They think there's something wrong with you. And it's just accepted that it's normal to ski in winter. And I think there's lots of other things to do in winter besides skiing.
Not ski, I ask you. All your friends like that? Herbal teas, basket weaving, pottery, and yoga.
Notice he's not rushing. You must listen to your body. Now, Trevor's going to use, he's not going to use the strap at all. He's quite supple enough. Now, he's been doing enough to know exactly what to do. Raise your right arm, bring your hand and grasp the ball of your foot. The inside. That's good. Now, take a full in. You will hold a strap. You'll put a strap around your foot. And you'll hold the strap in the right hand. Now, from there, take a full in breath. As you exhale, he's pushing against my foot as the wall, as imaginary wall. Notice now, he'll take his right leg to the right side without disturbing the left side. Keep your legs straight. You'll find the adductors. You'll get a tingling sensation in here. That's something that's why when you walk, you never straighten your legs, because you haven't stimulated that area there. Notice, most of you, unless you're checked, it's an ego thing. It's a showing off. You will take the leg down to the floor, and you'll give yourself a pat on the back and say, wow, I'm good. And look what happens here if you do that. The whole of your left side of the body's come off the floor.
It hasn't all been frivolity on TMT this year. We've devoted quite a bit of time to social issues and problems. Alcoholism was one of them.
This scene is typical of what's happening in many Canterbury homes tonight, as Dad arrives after spending a few hours drinking at the pub.
Got that dinner, Annie? Well, how are you two? Okay. Oh, geez, it is Annie. Can't you do a bit better than that?
It's okay, we hit it.
Oh, it would be, wouldn't it?
You were going to be home at 6. What am I supposed to do? I mean, it's been in the oven for 2 hours now. Greg, you said you were going to be home at 6 o'clock.
Look, Annie, how many times do I have to tell you I'm going to be a bit late?
You're not a bit late, Greggy. 2 hours late.
You like it all the time.
I'm busy.
Yeah,
look, why don't you pipe down,
You can
Ken?
alone. It's okay, Greg. You said you were going to be home at 6
Annie,
o'clock.
I'm often late at the moment.
I know
I've been
you're
busy.
often
I've been
late
busy
at
at
the
work.
moment.
I like to get. Look, why don't you shut up, Ken?
What?
No,
We
you
always
can
have to
alone.
wait for you to come home for
Look,
tea.
Ken, when you get
You're
a job,
right.
look,
I've
Ken.
tried for the last 2 weeks to get a job.
Look, Ken.
Look, leave him alone,
And
Greg.
start contributing.
I don't
Look,
think
I've got to
I've
say
been
something
trying.
to this boy, Annie.
Right,
When you
Lauren,
get, what the hell's wrong with her now?
In the scene you've just witnessed, we used actors. But somewhere in Christchurch tonight, that scene happened for real. And it probably happened because the husband had been drinking somewhere like this. One of the main alcohol treatment centres in Canterbury has statistics which tell the story. In the last 5 years, the number of problem drinkers it's seen has doubled. Young women are drinking more, especially young working women. But the age group that's shown the biggest increase in the statistics is young men aged between 20 and 29. They now account for 41% of problem drinkers. In Christchurch, drink is mainly a problem of the under 40 age group, and they're the people most likely to be married with young children. Obviously, it's not just men who have trouble handling alcohol, although the ratio of men to women with drink problems is 3 to 1. Social worker Lynn Briggs says most husbands just won't tolerate a drunk wife.
You usually find that if a wife has a drinking problem, she is left alone. Husbands don't tend to stay with wives who have drinking problems. 9 out of 10 leave their wives, whereas it's a reverse situation. If the husband is the drinker, 1 out of 10 women will leave.
Thanks. Well, will a couple of drinks after work really hurt you? How much is too much? This is the maximum recommended by the Alcohol Liquor Advisory Council. For men, no more than 6 glasses of beer a day. For women, only half that amount, just 3 a day. The reason that we women can't drink as much is because we have more body fat, which means that the alcohol is more concentrated in our bloodstreams. It takes an hour for your liver to process just 1 glass of beer. So if a man has about 15 glasses of beer in a night, and some do, he can still be drunk in the morning. Behind pleasant pub scenes like this lie some very sad stories.
Man makes your hair gray, he's your life's mistake. All you're really looking for is an even break. He lies right at you, you know you hate this game. Slaps you once in a while and you live in love and pain. She cries alone at night too often. He smokes and drinks and don't come home at all. Only women bleed. 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 Only women bleed.
Anyway, which lot are you?
What do you mean, lot?
Well, you know, denomination.
Oh, C of E.
Oh.
You?
Oh, I see, actually.
You lot believe in spirits?
Spirits.
Oh, no, spirits. Spooks, you know, things that go bump.
Oh, nighttime stuff.
Policemen in their own offices don't frighten easily. But here by the Christchurch station there was demolished a tiny building with a bizarre and eerie history. The stories about this place, the city's original morgue, would raise the hair on the scalp of Yul Brynner. This was where the bodies were brought of those who died deaths of the unnatural kind. and it was so close in here that the coroner, the jury and the witnesses were often forced to lean on the corpse.
That was when the building began to get its reputation. The histories say that the pathologists fed bits of leftover bodies into the fireplace. The smell, apparently, was objectionable to the constables, who had their barracks just a few yards away. And that wasn't the end of the reputation of the old building. Just 10 years ago, it first was thought to be haunted.
Late at night, sounds have been heard in here. Smoke has been seen coming out of this chimney. Seen by police working on the graveyard shift in the station. Nothing strange about that, except that the old morgue has been locked up for years. But then, as we said, policemen don't scare easily.
Well, in actual fact, down the chimney is actually a ventilation shaft. And during the heat of the building during the daytime, well, at night time, it started to cool off, and it's just condensation coming out of the chimney.
Now that history has ended. If there have been any ghosts here, they may see no further point in hanging around.
You know, you might have thought that what you put in your will would be automatically complied with, but with the best will in the world and all the plotting before you depart, you won't always beat your local council. The council here in Christchurch had to decide on whether they would permit a mausoleum.
The application for a mausoleum at Bromley has come as something of a surprise to the executor of the estate as well as the City Council. Only one large monument has ever been built here, and that was in 1931. There have been a few substantial headstones and vaults that have been added to as generations have passed. And there's the odd, sizable memorial at the old Linwood Cemetery as well. But the council rather tends to the view that carving our pasts in stone on the grand scale is not something to be encouraged. They see mausoleums as out of character with the rest of the cemetery, targets for vandals and liabilities for the council to maintain. In the case of the present application, no descendants of the recently departed now live in Christchurch to see to maintenance. So there are reasons for declining. A grave matter, yes, but not a nasty plot, merely proof that bureaucracy, like the memory, lingers on.
Not only Christchurch, but the Timaru City Council had to take a bit of action this year on non-standard burials. They reckoned a junk dealer shouldn't park a coffin and a pair of legs on the street frontage.
Oh, I totally agree. I find it offensive, and we shouldn't be showing it on television.
The owner says he's had only 4 complaints in 3 years, and he's got a point in saying you don't stay in business with a gimmick that offends people.
One of the big stars we were privileged to meet this year was Kenny Rogers.
Flora Gray, the gossip of Madison County died the child.
Kenny Rogers performs concerts about 150 times a year, most of them in America. Often he flies home afterwards on his own DC-9. When he's on tour, there's one sport that helps him unwind.
Well, during the day, I play an awful lot of tennis. I think that when you go into a town where you really don't know what there is to do, it's always best, at least I've found, to go in with some preconceived game plan. So I go in and I carry a tennis pro with me, and we go and challenge the local pro and assistant pro. And we played today. We played 4 sets of tennis today and had a great time.
Are you any good?
I'm pretty good. I think, a good A club player.
QE2 Park was also the venue for the World Masters Swimming Champs, and proof that not all swimmers are burnt out at 20.
The big unknown question was, how many would we get? We thought we might get 700 or 800. We got over 1,100, so events are running a bit longer than we would have liked. Our main sponsor got burnt out 3 months ago, and so therefore we had to do some rapid reorganisation for all sorts of things. There's been a few hiccups, as you might expect, but the response from the people here have been terrific.
Now, they look very serious competitors in the water, are they?
Oh, some of them are. They really are up at world times. But I'm a person that's the middle of the road, or middle of the pool, if you like, and I do it for health. I've been in swimming a while, and that's what it's about, health and fun.
Well, the health aspects relate to mainly cardiovascular and respiratory disease. And we see here people who, as the years go on, develop coronary artery disease and also smoking-related chest disease.
Are these people likely to live longer then?
Well, that's an unsettled question. And you've often heard people say, well, it's not the, you won't live longer, but perhaps if those years you do live, you'll enjoy more.
There's been the odd competitor disqualified, but that's part of the fun too.
Because of my breaststroke, I have one leg lower than the other. They're supposed to be in unison. I had a fractured hip. I think that's why.
But you got away with it once, didn't you?
I got away twice. Yeah. They don't always see it. I'm going to try it again. My next event is 200 breast.
We did our small bit for the Olympics this year. To help the Canterbury competitors, we invited their relatives into our studio and made up a sort of family video for dispatch to LA.
Kelly?
As well as keeping people in touch, we gave Kevin Barry a first glimpse of his new niece.
The family. Are you going to say hello to
And young Casey Barry had some prophetic words for her dad, Kevin.
Because we're getting on well at home and I'm being good at school and I'm going to say good luck, champ, and I hope you're going to win lots of medals.
Ah, nice line, Casey.
And the champ did bring home the medal.
Yes, my son.
Father, I'm so miserable. I've sinned.
A woman involved with
The pack of Sheila's. Father, it's been dreadful. Oh, Father, what happened was that earlier this year I got transferred to Auckland. I've been going to Eden Park to watch Andy Hayden and Grant Fox and the rest of them.
Now, my son, do not trouble yourself. Make a good act of contrition now. For your penance, I give you 5 Hail Marys and absolve you from your sin in the name of the Father, and the Holy Spirit. And have a good Christmas.
By the way, have you heard the story that, you know that they're using Aucklanders in laboratory experiments now instead of rats? They find that they're easier to feed and the lab staff don't get quite so attached to them.
Mr. Brian. It reminds me of one I heard some time ago from one of my parishioners, a very generous chap about the Irish.
The Canterbury trio Pachamama playing the sounds of South America in Hagley Park. A somewhat international note for us to take our leave. I'd like to thank you for avoiding rugby. Shaky start, but well done.
No trouble. It was a pleasure. I was looking forward to the after-match function anyways. Cheers.
really.
Go on. Try one.
Oh, all right. If you insist.